Hey everyone, my name is Dylan, and today I'll be presenting my poster on how Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 taught me to become a better designer. As someone that's going into UX design, user experience design, full time, I was interested in determining whether management simulation games, such as Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, teach individuals the value of design through decision making. I'll start off by talking about Roller Coaster Tycoon's purpose and context of the game. I'll then dive into three different gameful learning principles that I've discovered while playing and also talk about their design implications. And finally, I'll talk about two other design lessons I've learned from playing RCT, Roller Coaster Tycoon. With that, let's ride in. So, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is a strategy and management simulation game brought to you by Frontier and Epic Games that provides players the ability to have all the different touch points within an amusement park. So, this can include the rides, shops, scenery, staff members, customer satisfaction scores, finances, and so much more. There's four different game modes to Roller Coaster Tycoon. There's tutorial mode, career mode, sandbox mode, and custom scenario. For the purposes of this presentation, I'll highlight most of my experiences on the career mode. Career mode is your classic gameplay mode. Essentially, you will be prompted with a specific scenario objective. So for a particular theme park, there's going to be three different levels that you have to complete within your theme park. So essentially, apprentice level is the beginner level, entrepreneur is the medium level, and the most difficult level is tycoon level. You're given a set of tasks that you need to complete for that particular scenario. So Vanilla Hills is the very first amusement park scenario that you will have as a player. And essentially for this particular goal, you're going to have to get 400 guests into the park and a minimum park value of $20,000. And the way that you're able to get more guests and increase your park value within the park is by adding roller coaster rides, adding stalls, doing marketing campaigns. There's so many different outlets for you to improve the performance of your park. And the picture on the right kind of shows you what your park is going to look like at the very beginning. So if you click on the Ferris wheel icon, that will give you access to all the different types of roller coasters that you could build. So you could build roller coasters, kids rides, thrill rides, even water parks and zoos for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 specifically. There's also different amenities that you could build, including restaurants and drinks and toilets and information stands. And you could also add scenery as well. I think one of my favorite parts about Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, though, was the ability to actually ride the roller coasters you created. So the one on the left is a wooden coaster I built in a Western amusement park. And it was so much fun riding these roller coasters and water slides, especially during these virtual times where you're not really able to go to a theme park, but you could still feel immersed in the environment by playing around with the coaster cam on Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So now that we have a better understanding of what Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 is, I'm going to talk about three different learning principles that I saw while playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. In another assignment, I might touch on all 10, but these three in particular, I also saw design implications that allowed me to become a better designer by playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. So first, clear learning goals. You could definitely see that Roller Coaster Tycoon has clear learning goals by the three different levels of gameplay. It's also important to understand how it tracks progress when you're clearly defining those learning goals. So if we go back, this is a different scenario that I completed end to end called Go with the Flow. And for each particular level, you're going to have the similar type of tasks that you're going to need to complete. So like, for example, for all three levels, you needed to increase the park value and the total monthly ride income. But the numbers got increasingly more difficult. And at the same time, you were given access to new pieces of information and new roller coasters as you progress through those different levels. And it was a lot of trial and error. Like you could see on the bottom right image, you had to play around with the admission price in order to understand what the projected income would be, the projected profit. Because as you increase the admission costs, the number of customers that are willing to pay for the roller coaster is going to decrease. So you definitely need to balance this too. And I think setting goals really helped me as a designer identify the scope of the problem and establish different business objectives. And by doing that, it also allowed me to focus on the design tasks at hand and motivate me to create success from those particular designs. The second learning goal I wanted to talk about is supporting autonomy. Good games give players a sense of agency, allowing them to make choices that have consequences. So, while we did mention that there's clearly defined learning goals in the game, I was able to create my own destiny because I chose the roller coasters I wanted to create. I chose the placement of these different rides and amenities. So, I had a lot of design choices I was able to make while building these roller coasters. So the image on the top left shows you when you're in construction mode for a particular roller coaster. There's so many different choices that you could build for your roller coaster, with all the different turns and special moves and stuff like that. And you're also able to choose the speed of the roller coaster, the minimum and maximum waiting times. So you had a lot of choices. And what's important about the image on the right actually is that by choosing a different stall, you're going to be meeting a different customer need. So maybe there's a lot of customers that are complaining that there's not enough toilets around. So if you add a toilet, you're going to increase the customer satisfaction for the park. Whereas if you add an information or a first aid stall, they're going to provide different products that customers can sell, and therefore you could possibly increase your profit. So there's definitely strategies for trying to maximize the purpose of your park. So by supporting autonomy, where I'm allowed to foster my creativity because I'm given the freedom of expression, at the same time being curated with the support that I need to progress through the different goals. And finally, the third goal is embedding assessment. So it's important for the assessment to be embedded within the experience, not just summative assessment where it's given at the end of completing all three of the levels for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. But as I'm progressing through each of those levels, I also want to see some formative assessment. And I definitely saw that by seeing how the guests were feeling when they're in the park. I was able to test the different roller coasters and see the different intensity, excitement, and nausea levels, as you could see on that middle left image. And what's really cool about this experience was the amount of customer research that I was able to grab from playing the game. So you can see on the image on the top left that a lot of people in that particular park were really thirsty. So it's probably good to add more drink stalls. And another cool thing was the image on the right. You're actually able to see every single person that was in the park, their names, age, gender, and their current status of what they're doing at the park, and also their current mood. So all of those factors allowed me to improve my human-centered design skills because you constantly need to meet the needs of the customers that are in the park. So while I don't have to make assumptions about what the customers need, I was able to focus on creating lasting long-term value by tracking the feedback within the Roller Coaster Tycoon game. Two other design skills I wanted to talk about that I've learned from playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 are that bad customer experiences can be costly, and it's important to expect the unexpected and understand available resources. So when I mean bad customer experiences can be costly, I mean that it's important to understand the placing of where you're putting all of the different parts within the game in order to maximize profit and to meet customer needs. So while the image on the bottom left shows that there's a lot of scenery and shows how beautiful the park could be. It also meant that it was a longer walk for customers. Customers may not have been willing to spend as much money if they have to walk everywhere. So it's important to keep your finances and the design aesthetics in mind. So not just focusing on the UI, the user interface, but also focusing on the UX, the user experience. The other goal I want to talk about is to expect the unexpected. So life is unpredictable, and Roller Coaster Tycoon is a management simulation game. So naturally, it's going to present unpredictable events. You could see the image on the bottom left shows that there is a bunch of instances where rides would actually break down. And you need to make sure that you have the proper resources to handle those unexpected obstacles that come in your way. So by hiring more mechanics, you're able to make sure that the rides are fixed in a timely manner. And that way, customers would be able to actually go on the roller coaster ride, spend money, and enjoy their time there. So with that, that's what I've learned from playing Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, the importance of making me a better designer. I've definitely seen throughout the entire design process how a management simulation game, such as Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, can improve your design skills each step in the way. So with that, here are my references, and I appreciate your time looking at my poster. I hope you all have a great day, and I highly recommend this game.